Not helping. Low water levels on the Mississippi River are keeping cargo barges at a standstill. National correspondent Justin Michaels explains how it will affect your wallet.
Barges sit idle on the historically low Mississippi River. The water isn't deep enough, and they risk running aground like this one in Osceola, Arkansas, stopping all of those from moving. So what does this have to do with you? A lot.
How do you manage supply that's low? You get higher prices.
Ken Erickson is an expert on the finances of America's biggest, most efficient way to move goods, the mighty Mississippi.
Whether it's grains, corn, soybeans, soybean meal, but then you've got steel, you've got chemicals, and you've got energy products such as diesel or gasoline, ethanol, but coal.
Quickly approaching, winter travel may be impacted. De-icer used on planes and salt used on roads all move on this river.
When you have snow and ice, that's very important. So for the average consumer, that's the part that gets to be important for them every day.
Our crop mix is more than likely going to change if things keep going the way they are.
Arkansas farmer Jacob Appleberry depends on the Mississippi for every crop he grows, and most stay domestic. Household staples like rice, wheat, soybeans, and cotton.
If we don't do what we do, it doesn't get passed on down the line to get what everybody needs in their hometown, whatever that is, whether it's in New York or another small town right down the road.
This river is 75% of America's economy and economic build to this point.
Third-generation Mississippi barge company owner Austin Golding explains the Army Corps of Engineers continues dredging, working daily to keep commerce moving.
There's about 4 or 5 spots that are so narrow, it's extremely restricted to even a 25 barge tow.
At those narrow points on the Mississippi, water levels continue to drop. Where dredging is happening, commerce comes to a complete standstill, and every moment these barges sit here, it gets pricey.
Our whole game is scale of economy and scale of efficiency. Once you start taking efficiency and economies off, by meaning less barges and less cargo, the cost of our services go through the roof.
And if it costs more for Jacob to move his grains up the Mississippi, it will eventually cost more for you at the store.
If it keeps going like it is now, we're going to have to find other places to deliver grain, or we're going to have to come up with new ways to store our grain or produce less grain.
Talking about a system that connects everything from the upper reaches of Pennsylvania all the way out to Oklahoma, into the Great Lakes, all the way to Texas, all the way to Florida, and through the Gulf of Mexico. Massive, massive economic impact.
So to talk more about this is Justin Michaels. And Justin, how many barges are they pushing now relative to what they would?
Well, typically they can push, right now because of how narrow the river is, how shallow it is, and the Army Corps is doing all sorts of dredging to try to alleviate some of this stress, but they can push 25 barges behind one boat, okay? If you multiply that out, one barge of those 25 is 70 semi-trucks or 16 rail cars. If you multiply that out by the 25, we're talking 1,750 trucks or 400 rail cars on one push. That's how big of an economic problem this is, because they're moving so much of our economy on one body of water. But that's even almost,
that's probably half of what they normally do, though.
Right, right. So I was talking to Austin Golding there, the owner of that barge company. 25 right now behind one boat because of how narrow these turns are in the Mississippi. That's all they can do to maneuver it and keep it moving. They could do 40. They could do more, but they're limiting back to 25 because there just isn't enough room.
Do they think that they could come to a complete halt on the Mississippi at some point?
They're concerned. I asked Austin the same thing, and he said right now on a panic scale, they're at 6.5. In 2 more weeks, they'll be at 8. And so on and so forth. So they're concerned.
Yeah, and there's not loads of rain coming either in the future here. Thanks, Justin.